BBC Sounds.
Hello everybody, beam me up, count me in, 3, 2, 1, let's begin. I'm Colin Murray, this is Fighting Talk. Did anyone in the studio get the lyric?
I did, Colin. You're down with the kids, or
Don't
at least...
say it.
Okay.
I know you've got that one, but I mentioned that band before they'd sold a record hardly with Pat Nevin and a Midnight Meats. So therefore, yeah, I'm feeling very smug this week. Still got it.
Can't get on the Wi-Fi in this building, so I haven't got a chance of trying to figure it out.
You can't Google it. Young people always think Googling is knowledge. It isn't.
Are you calling me a young person?
Yes, I am.
That's
there you go.
So nice. What a nice start to the day.
There was a compliment in there. Listen, here's another one. A warm welcome to one and all, whatever your Saturday is. Thank you so much for spending an hour of it with us. Been around 20 years. We never, ever take it for granted. But before we introduce today's 4 fighting talkers, let's send all their love and strength and fighting talk swagger to one of our very own, Jenny Gow, who's not too well, as you might have read. Jenny, you're going to smash that road to recovery 100%, and then you can come and wipe the floor with this lot again. I have no doubt about that. You're an FT Ferrari on a grid of Coloni C4s. Yes, I did have to Google that. But you already knew that, Jen, because you have no knowledge of Formula One. That's how heartfelt that was. I Googled something. Lots of love to you. Let's introduce today's 4 fighting talkers. After a couple of DTIs in her debut season, she's come joint last and joint last so far in season 20. She texted the producer on Thursday night asking for some hints on the questions as she was, and I quote, going out on the lash. Unfortunately, it was Thursday night, so our producer was, and I quote, already on the lash. Presenter, writer, former Fight and Talk tea maker, yes.
I'm never texting anybody on this team ever again.
Oh, it's as leaky as a sieve, this place. You don't tell anyone your secrets in this show.
Fine.
No, I
Thank
say
you.
nothing.
Nice to see you.
Did you get points deducted already?
No points deducted.
Shall I tell them what you've been texting me?
I haven't been texting you anything. Good Fight and Talk line, but in the interest of my life. Right, next, he's the only pre-pandemic member of this panel. Can I just mark and say what a terrible sentence that is, that it exists, a pre-pandemic member. Yuck. His 3 wins outweigh his competitors' total tally. However, he's muck at defending indefensible. 3 wins and 8 losses. There's no vaccine for that. Journalist and Vikings fan Thom Gibbs is here. You're excited? Come on, Vikings.
Yeah, I'm buzzing. Everyone hates the Vikings. Everyone's furious with them for winning and not being very good. But I'm behind them tomorrow, as I should be.
You've always been a shadow team. I remember getting into it in the 80s and the success of the Bears. It was one of those divisions. And then who was it went to you for a year and you did quite well about 6 seasons ago?
Oh, it was that Green Bay Packers fellow, wasn't
that
it,
guy,
Brett?
he went, yeah. And then now, this is, I mean, you're a big underdog, but still, you know, who knows? It's last season, the number 4 seeds both made the Super Bowl.
Yeah, well, there's no more powerful feeling in sport than nobody believes in us.
Yes, you can drive that all the way, can't you? I love it. Right, making her 3rd appearance. Her previous 2 ended in joint last place finishes, although her average score was 46.5, which is the best of anyone in this panel. Further proof that this programme is an absolute sham. So that's okay. That was good. I really enjoyed it. Just lifted the sort of whole conversation this morning and the whole feel. It felt like it was fun to be here.
Yeah, it felt warm, didn't it?
Yeah. And are you going to netball together after?
We are going to the netball together after, so it's a mum and daughter day.
Yeah, and she's a decent player, I believe.
She's a decent player.
Yeah.
I'm a better one.
Yeah, but only 3 opportunity though, because when she lived in the States, there was no netball. There was only a small Caribbean league, so therefore she didn't have the opportunity that you had to play.
True.
Yeah, so she may have been better had given the chance.
Ouch.
I know.
There you go. Just thought I'd mention
Good
that.
morning.
I got your back. Don't worry about that. Right, finally, only his 2nd appearance of the season, so must be having a good year in his normal job as a comedian. That always happens with comedians. They get successful. They ain't doing it for this fee. He is a comedian. He's currently banned from Twitter due to his spreading of Biscoff conspiracy theories. Says Ilyas is here from our Manchester studio. How are you, mate?
I'm good. Once again, I'm feeling very, very lonely watching the Scooby Gang on the monitor here.
I can't see you. Where are you?
I can see you.
Nah. I can't see you. I don't need to. I'm not being rude. I just don't need to. It's radio. Nobody can see us. That's the way it's meant to be. So I'm okay with that. I often get asked on my evening show, on my weeknight show, 10 to 1, Monday to Thursday, ratings busting. I often get asked, I want to join the Zoom. And I'm like, well, no. You know, I've managed 20 years without seeing the people. Do you know what I mean, Kit?
Some people force you to when you go on as a guest.
Yeah.
They want to look at you. They want to eyeball you. I don't know why.
Can we visualise this?
Yes.
Can we visualise this for Twitter Face?
I should just do a little stick man and hold it up against the screen.
Exactly. But to be fair, that's about you anyway, isn't it? It's remarkable. Anyway, here we go. First question. I want to just say that this question is a good question, but it's predicated on nonsense. Monday, they call Blue Monday as the most depressing day of the year, which is the most Neanderthal view I've ever heard of mental health. But anyway, people who come up with that, have a word with yourselves, but we're going to use it as a question, which says, who from sport's going to be fearing a Blue Monday the most? You don't pass up those opportunities, Thom Gibbs. What do you got?
You absolutely don't. Ian Poulter turned 47 this week. I obviously extend many happy returns his way. That's more than the European Ryder Cup Twitter account managed. They completely failed to wish Ian Poulter a happy birthday. Now, you might think this is very petty, ignoring a man who's done so much for the European team at Ryder Cups, until you remember that these days Ian Poulter is a live golfer.
Yeah.
Now, call me old-fashioned, but I think you might lose the moral high ground when you take the dubious money to play in the breakaway league. But Ian Poulter was very upset. He replied to an innocuous tweet about something else to point out not just his birthday snub, but Sergio Garcia's as well.
Yeah.
It's all a little bit like when Yaya Toure threatened to leave Manchester City because they didn't make a big enough deal of his birthday. And you know what? Ian Poulter deserves to feel upset this Monday.
I agree.
And he should be ashamed of himself, not for the defection, but because once you're older than 21, you're not allowed to care about your birthday that much anymore. Grow up, Ian.
I get what you mean. I don't care about my birthday. It wouldn't be something, I was doing countdown, actually, my last birthday, and I didn't mention it in the show. It's like... But I still think it's petty not to wish him happy. If you have done all those other years, there had to have been a meeting took place, right? A PGA meeting. Do we wish them happy? There's been a meeting there. Like, jugs of cold coffee. You know what I mean? And pastries to make that decision. And I hate that as much.
No, I think they've taken the attitude of live and let die now.
There you go. Kit.
The bluest of all on Blue Monday will be the Blues, Chelsea. Not only have they just lost to neighbours Fulham, the Minnows, for the first time in 17 years. The key point about Chelsea is they're not used to this. 18 months ago, they were winning the Champions League. They're used to being able to summon great reserves of cash in order to do everything they want to do. Now they've got a guy in charge who reportedly, I don't have this absolutely confirmed, but proposed a 4-4-3 formation of 12 men to the outgoing boss, Thomas Tuchel. They got Graham Potter saying this is the hardest job in football. That doesn't make you feel good. Mid-table mediocrity for Chelsea.
They are the team that can bring a new manager in mid-season and still win the Champions League. They do always smell of roses after they've fallen in the proverbial SH. So it's a very good point. They aren't used to it even in the most turmoil of times. That's not right.
Turbulent?
You're getting distracted by New Order, aren't you?
Turbulent, thank you. I'm keeping it there the whole time. So 12-inch. Come on! Ebony.
I'm actually running on the same theme as Kate, but I'm an avid Chelsea supporter, so I think never mind it being the bluest of Mondays. Last week when João Felix in his debut got sent off.
Hilarious.
One of the most probably expensive loan signings that we have. We've got so many injury rows. So never mind the players, the club, it's the fans.
Yeah.
And now our new loan signing is not available for 3 Premier League games. Can it get any worse?
We lost Nunes in the second game, didn't we? He headbutted somebody or whatever he did. Apologies if it wasn't a headbutt. I think it was, wasn't it? Like a football headbutt, not like a street headbutt. Not like a real headbutt, but you know what I mean? So it happens sometimes, you come in, adrenaline's high.
This is the wrong time. It was what a sad and lonely walk down the tunnel. All the Chelsea fans, heads in their hands, they were just in despair.
He looked quite good before that, which is the double use meant.
Yeah. You just got to go and watch a Jonathan Woodgate video to make yourself feel better.
I know.
That's what you got to do in those situations.
I reckon someone said to him it's Premier League, it's probably going to get stuck in. Don't be soft.
Yeah,
Get in
totally.
There. Show them what you're about.
Maybe he got the wrong pep talk before he went in. I'd imagine not pep. You know what I mean? Tess.
I'm going with Cristiano Ronaldo. Not the obvious choice, given that he's sitting on a €200 million a year contract.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, that's not what he's about. The man is the most narcissistic man in football. And the fact that it has now been universally confirmed that he's not the best player of this generation, let alone of all time, I think is not going to sit well with him. And I can imagine sitting on his golden toilet throne in somewhere in Saudi, he's just watching TikToks of Messi's highlights from the World Cup, just shouting rigged in Portuguese.
It's interesting that if that was an award that they handed, like Sports Personality of the Year, they handed out, what would the initials be? Most narcissistic footballer. The MNF award every year. Imagine the short list in inverted commas. It would run to the size of the telephone book. There'd be so many nominees for it. All right, great first round. We can stop Blue Monday. More's the pity. And we head to question 2, which comes from you, the listeners, as always. James Boyce is with us this week. Hello, James Boyce.
Hello, how you doing?
How you, mate? You've just been away, right? You've been in France?
I have, yeah. Just got back yesterday.
Yeah.
Last night.
So you could say the Boyce is back in town. Hey! Come on! Yes! The music today's been so much better than the panellists. Huh? New order.
I'll take that one.
Thin Lizzy, it's all yours. That's your theme tune from here on James Boyce. But what is your question, my friend?
Okay, morning panel. With the news this week that the Countdown caretaker host has been confirmed in the hot seat permanently.
Yes, come on.
What in sport are the worst examples of a temporary to permanent appointment?
It's a classic. Okay, if that's the worst, what's the second worst? Right, so from temporary to permanent appointments in sport. All right, very good. Ebony, you're all over that. Let's see what we have.
Well, we used to see him more recently on Strictly, but Tony Adams and his stint at Portsmouth. I think he had one game in temporary charge after Harry Redknapp left, and before being handing a 2.5-year contract, and he lasted 4 months. Sacked in February 2009 after just 16 games in charge, in which Portsmouth only picked up 10 points. 2 wins in 16 league games, prompt dismissal, and a pretty poor show.
Give it him. That's one of the ultimate. It's one of the most common football phrases when you get a temporary manager. 3 wins. Give it him now. Give him out. Throw away the keys. Was it the Ferdinand? I won't preempt it because some might have it as their answer. Tez, what have you got?
I have gone with a former Blackburn boy, Tim Sherwood.
Yeah.
Who took charge of one of the biggest clubs in the country, Tottenham Hotspur, off the back of zero experience, managerial experience, and lasted in the job for about 3 months. Then he got sacked in May, and then for some reason picked up another job at Aston Villa straight after, where he was even worse, and then never had a managerial job in his life afterwards.
Did he bring the gilet to football though? Right? You just got to give him credit. For. I don't think anyone wore it before him, did they?
Lasting legacy.
Someone might have worn it better, like, no offence to him, but like with the same coloured sleeve. Do you know what I mean? But he went proper white and then dark gilet. He really stood out.
Maybe he was the forerunner of the Gareth Southgate waistcoat.
Yeah, I go waistcoat for him, gilet for Sherwood, immersion heater for Wenger. Someone would have done it before, but nobody quite done it like Arsene Wenger. Often you're not the first, but you're the one that people remember, like the inventors of most things in the world.
First mover advantage.
Yeah, a lot of things were invented by women and then stolen by men, if you look in the centuries ago,
Yeah.
Anyway, that was right off topic, wasn't it? Should we get back on the question?
You can carry on with that.
Okay, well, while you're talking, what's your answer?
My answer is a guy who spent 6 months doing the equivalent of raising the ratings, Colin. Because I've heard they had big viewership in
you
December.
Make the decision for them, you get the points.
The pinnacle of which for this gentleman was on the 6th of March against Paris Saint-Germain, when Manchester United became the first team in Champions League history to go through despite losing their first leg at home by 2 goals. That was the pinnacle, really, for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So much for knowing the club's DNA and refusing to park in Sir Alex's special parking space. You got the sense that he was the work experience manager even after he got appointed.
That was the Rio Ferdinand, wasn't it? The famous clip, rubbing the hands together. We're back. Yeah. My producers just told me to do Tom next. Tom's the only one left. So
you skip Tom.
So Tom, what's your answer?
Thank you very much. When Blackburn sacked Sam Allardyce in 2009, it plunged the club into an identity crisis. They needed someone strong to rally behind. A break from the past, a leader of men. Cometh the hour. cometh Steve Keane. Caretaker for 4 games, then Venky's made the classic mistake of getting carried away, giving him the 2-year deal. When the caretaker gets a job, it always reminds me of someone trying to make a go of a holiday romance. It just doesn't work in practice. And given he'd only won 1 of those 4 games, it was like a holiday at Pontins in February with a bloke who made you buy all the drinks. But it all went sour, of course. Blackburn were bottom, supporters furious. Jack Straw, the local MP, got involved. What did Venky's do? Another new contract. You have to admire the trolling. Got relegated, was still somehow in charge next year, but you know it's a bad appointment when the fans are putting chickens on the pitch to protest it.
Oh, yeah. Listen, everyone had 10 points except for Kit, who had 12, but I'm going to take 2 points off Kit for waving when James Boyce said hello to the panel. It's just really stuck with me as like, why are you waving on radio with someone who's on a phone?
I was just trying to be friendly.
But I don't think that's something I should have to explain to people. Like, when someone's on the phone, don't wave. Even my granddad didn't do that. In the days of, like, phone numbers only being 4 digits, 6694, he didn't wave, right? And he'd lost it. So I got to take points off you for waving at a caller. And James, that means with everyone on 10 points, your hallelujah will put someone in the lead. Who is it?
Well, I'd actually completely forgotten that Tony Adams ever managed, but for the chickens on the pitch, it has to be Tom.
There you go.
James.
I'll turn that into hallelujah. There you go.
I can't believe I wasted my time waving at that guy.
Are you happy, James? Have you had a good experience?
Yeah, it's been good.
Good. Well,
Thanks.
It's been lovely for us too. You have a good day, yeah?
You too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Right, okay, time to write another sporting eulogy after the retirement of this famous golfer.
Marcelo's right-footed ball, an overhead kick, it's in from Bale! What a goal! What a brilliant goal in the Champions League final from Gareth Bale!
Yeah, the Welsh wizard announced his retirement from football this week. Where do you think Gareth Bale ranks in the list of greatest British footballers of the modern era, whatever the modern era is? Should we just say sort of like 1990 onwards? Is that about right? Should we be happy with that? Premier League onwards? Premier League era, is that a better way to say it? Well, I'm asking you. I'm consulting you about the question. I'm in charge.
As you know.
I'll say Premier League era. I think that might be a better way to do it. Does that work for everyone? Yeah? Okay. Yeah. Kate, what have you got?
Oh, I start, do I?
Yeah.
Well, I need to collect myself here because Gareth Bale is one of the greatest players I've ever seen.
Yep.
And I've genuinely, when I heard the news that he was retiring at 33, I had a lump in my throat. I'm so upset to think that I will not get to see Gareth Bale play football again. He is the kind of player, Colin, who takes your breath away. He can gather the ball and make defenders look completely invisible or like visible. He was only visible in bursts. I'm not sure. We know his stats. He won 5 Champions Leagues. He scored the greatest Champions League final goal in history. Premier League Player of the Year, of course, 12-13 was the season for Tottenham that I'm really like still living. That performance at San Siro in 2010, the goal for Real Madrid in the Copa del Rey. I said I wasn't going to list it all out. I haven't even got onto Wales. We need someone Welsh in to talk about it. He makes me want to be Welsh.
The greatest Celts don't always turn up for the country, even if the stats show that they played X amount of games. You know that a lot of the time they were over the limit to drive, and we had that at Northern Ireland for a while. Where, let's be honest, it was a way to sort of get you away from your club. It was pretty chilled. Usually at a club the night before the game, and Michael O'Neill changed that. Welcome back, Michael. Bale did turn out for his country. It's one of the biggest things. And people will go. I think it's harder when you're a Celt. Like people will judge maybe only 2 years. The last 2 years. Well, what about the last World Cup? Everyone always has a down World Cup. Rooney had down World Cups.
People will never forget. I was just talking about it when I found out that he had retired. I was just walking into my gym and there's a Welsh person on the desk. Yeah. And she was like, "What? Gareth Bale's retired?" Like that is the significance of him.
It's amazing that someone capable of that good an answer would wave at somebody on the phone. But we take who we can in this show. Eboni, Gareth Bale, where do you place him?
I'm similar to Kate. I think arguably one of the best that we've ever had. I think the fact that he was an all-round player, but more so the fact that, as you just described, in terms of taking Wales to 2 Euros and World Cup, almost like single-handedly, in terms of dragging them through. But for me, it's the fact that he played across multiple leagues and achieved success. So it just shows that he was a linchpin in most of those squads, and he kind of breeded success into those clubs. But also, he's probably one of the only players who were able to sit on the bench at Real Madrid, getting paid what he was, but mostly to play golf and spend time with his family.
That breaks my heart, though.
They can respect.
So it's a good thing, but also just totally. You know what? Credit to you.
You can never. I don't think you can ever single-handedly do it. You need a support cast around him. But clearly wouldn't have done it without him. right? Clearly wouldn't have done it without him, but you have your Joe Allen, you have your Aaron Ramseys, you have
Ben
your
Davis.
Yeah, you have your Ben Davis. Right, you have players here. You have to have more than just that player. You have to have more, but you do need that one X factor to do over that to change your history, basically, is what he did. He was the forerunner in changing the history of a nation. Tom?
Well, look, let's be rigorous about this. Let's think about who is the British competition for Gareth Bale, the great of the last 30 years. Wayne Rooney, maybe, Ian Rush, Chris Iwelumo. Also, the other thing is, assessing this, it depends on how you measure things, doesn't it? Maybe Paul Scholes had more talent than Gareth Bale. Maybe Ryan Giggs did it for longer. Maybe Andy Robertson's name goes better in that song by the Proclaimers. But ultimately, I think greatness is measured by the memories you leave behind.
Yeah.
And Kate has listed all of the brilliant Gareth Bale moments, but for Wales fans, and indeed the rest of us...
way more, Tom, sorry. If you want me, can you come back in on that?
It doesn't tend to be how it works when someone else is doing their answer, but feel free. But for any of us who watch Euro 2016, we'll never forget Bale at that tournament. And he's got this great narrative arc as well, hasn't he? Callow youth at Southampton, couldn't buy a win at Spurs to begin with, and then a European penta champ with Real Madrid, and this is before we even get to his triumphant second act as a live golfer.
And the absolute dog's dirt of a second round game at that Euros against us. I mean, we were all fully invested in it, but sometimes your great player, he's got everything, goes missing in turgid games, yet he was still the best player in the pitch in a turgid game. Right, finish this off, Tez, for me.
Yeah, I guess he was all right. Gareth Bale. He had moments. Don't know really what he achieved in England apart from the odd decent goal here and there. Went on to Real Madrid, where he was lucky enough to play in one of the best teams of a generation, packed with one of the best midfields of all time. And, just had a career of turning up for the last 2 months of a season, getting himself fit for April and May, and then coming in and stealing the headlines. And I guess as a career, it's what you'd want if you're lazy. So, on achievements, yeah, definitely in the conversation. In terms of talent, yeah, top 15, 20 for sure.
I love it.
But what he achieved for Wales, I think, surpasses anything he achieved for club, where I think he was largely carried, if I'm honest, by better players, e.g. Cristiano Ronaldo, etc. But what he did for Wales, I think, will go down as legendary, and therefore, begrudgingly, he's definitely in the top 10 in the modern era.
No points for the Welsh stuff, which was completely accurate, but loads of points for the inaccurate stuff. That's why we call the show Fight and Talk. Right, let's do a quickie as we hit the time of the year when the NFL playoffs begins. There's 3 weeks of madness leading up to the Super Bowl on February 12th. We're still in we are in that new system now where you get just the 2 teams through, and then you got how many left? 12 battling it out. Yeah, 12 battling it out. So we call it the wild card weekend, but I don't know what you call it now. Just everyone bar 2 teams, and it is amazing. So, but one of the sports you only really tune in for at the sharp end, so you ignore them until that moment where you go, okay, I'll tune in for the big moments. As simple as that. Tez, what have you got for me?
Straight up WWE. I do not care about the wrestling other than when WrestleMania comes around every single April, which kind of coincides with my birthday as well. So, when Stone Cold was facing The Rock at WrestleMania every single year, I'm like, I'm in for that.
Yeah.
But Raw, a random Monday Night Raw in October, I'm not tuning in for that.
That's hard to beat, actually, Tom, but you're the NFL fan, so let's see what you have.
I think all men's tennis, that sport is formatted wrong. Get it over with. Every Grand Slam begins with a week of what basically amounts to warm-up games, the tennis equivalent of pre-season friendlies when we have to pretend to be excited that Crystal Palace are playing the Brisbane Roar. It's completely pointless. The same names always make it through. Make it best of 3 sets as well. Get it over with. Tighten up tennis.
You might have had a better answer 5 years ago, but you could say that about most Fight and Talk answers, because obviously we're going through changings of the guards now, and it might change where it's less predictable. But you're right. Like, anyone says they're genuine, unless you're there. I've seen Federer on centre court beat somebody who could never have beaten him, like 6-1, 6-1, 6-1. It's like watching someone play with their kid. Where they put their hand in their head, just so they, and they're swinging punches at them. But it wasn't sport, you know what I mean? They're so far and away above in his pump. Good answers. Right. Ebony, what sport do you only tune in for the glory hunting?
For me, it's Formula One. Never mind the numerous laps watching the cars go round and round. It's only when you get to the end you see that one overtaking manoeuvre that seals the deal. And even when you talk to fans, most of them want to tune in to What's it called? Drive to Survive.
Yeah.
Just to get the highlights rather than watching all the Grand Prix action. So it's got to be Formula One for me.
Yeah, these are all brilliant, I agree with all of them. I suppose what we're learning is, regardless of the sport, we will find swathes of glory hunters, right? It doesn't. So any sport works here. Kit, what's yours?
NBA, better in highlights as well. The playoffs. I mean, the playoffs are seven games anyway. And it's all so long. And my God, there's so many games of in the NBA, aren't there? You think someone's won and then, no, they've lost. It's the same night, feels like. So yeah, I can't keep up.
Do you know what? It's so right, because I really like watching the basketball. And there's so many regular season games I put on. And after 20 minutes, I'm like, and I'm really just hoping for one of the 6 epic comebacks of the season, and it's probably not going to happen. Like, you see the punters leaving, you're thinking, well, if they're leaving and they paid to see it, I'm gone. I'm off ski. Great answers. Right, last question of this half of Fight and Talk, which has been, surprisingly, very enjoyable. Something you want to talk about in sport that you think that we're going to miss on the show today? Eboni, what do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about Djokovic being allowed back into Australia.
Yeah.
Given the fact that the King of Melbourne has now returned, given that the Australian government last year held him in custody and then sent him on his merry way after being banned from not being able to enter Australia due to his vaccination status. It's almost like COVID didn't happen.
Yeah.
But he's back. He had his first match, a warm reception. But yeah, I think lots of questions being asked there.
I really assumed you were going to do the netball. I really did. You know when you're like absolutely poised for the netball conversation?
I'm glad to have surprised you.
Tez.
Right, this is not the hottest take of all time, Colin, but on my first ever or second ever appearance on here, I proclaimed that Lionel Messi was the greatest footballer of all time, and you shot me down, Colin.
Because he still isn't. But why?
I'm back, Colin. He is universally the greatest player of all time, and there is no other answer that is acceptable. In fact, he is simultaneously the greatest footballer of all time and the most underrated footballer of all time. And I think it talks to the knowledge of football in this country that people don't think that. It is a disgrace.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. People rate Pele. Unbelievably petty, Tez. I love it. Tom.
I'm a Kit anorak, and it's been a terrible week for Kits in the League Cup. On Wednesday, Southampton played Man City, both wearing black shorts, which felt wrong. Man City had this luminescent green top, which was far too similar to Southampton's, which is mostly white this season. A kit clash so bad, I briefly considered switching over and watching Ligue 1 on the other side. Considered it. Even worse, the day before, Arsenal had an all-white kit on. It was for a good cause. The club's got an anti-knife crime campaign. But they had white numbers on the back of the kit too. Unhelpful for everyone. But look, we're getting kits all wrong in this country with these one-off kits. Because the statement kits are all well and good, but give the people what they want. One weekend every year where everyone gets to wear a retro kit from their past.
Oh, that's a great idea.
It happens in America, lots of American sports. So we're leaving money on the table.
You mean, so they have to change the sponsor, obviously, or have no sponsor, right? You can't all of a sudden say to some big bank, right, you're being replaced by Crown Paints. But it's a great idea.
How pathetic is it that Crown Paints was the first thing in my mind?
I was thinking of candy.
Yeah, good shout.
Hitachi! Do you know what I mean? So I think it's a brilliant idea. And actually, for those people that only care about making money, it's a good way to make money as well.
Perfect.
That is wonderful. Let me give you even more points. Right, Kit.
Forgive the change in tone. I want to be a bit serious. I want to talk about looking after our football clubs. It's 2023. We are 2 years on from the fan-led review of football and, of course, of the European Super League. That was talking about sustainability, distribution of wealth, stopping rogue owners. It said there'd be legislation introduced this year in 2023. There's no clear timescale about this. No. We need to talk about this. Look at Bury, 136 years old, older than most of the states in the US, older than the Eiffel Tower. One unscrupulous owner, gone. These football clubs belong to us. They're our communities, they're our heritage, they are important. Yeah. All the way down the pyramid, they're held together by people who love them. They need protecting. I see Scunthorpe now in deep trouble. The owner says his millions of pounds of gambling debts aren't related to his desire not to put any more money into the football club. I can't judge. But a club like Scunthorpe should not be relying on hopes that the bloke who buys them is just a good one.
Yeah, correct. And you know what? When it comes to these, when they hit the headlines, like, it doesn't matter who it is. We can go through the whole list. Derby, we go on, we go. There's always one before Wigan. There's one before. There's more fudge than a Cadbury's factory, because they know. The people in charge of football know that they can change that avenue, they can change that road, and they're scared every time. But fans aren't united. we talk all the time about our club, but we if there's not a united approach to this, I tried to start a very simple petition that said, look, do we agree to these 3 basic fundamentals? Hardly get any signatures. We have to come together and not just worry about it when it's our club.
Exactly.
And we need to really care about our most bitter rivals when it happens to them. Not until that happens, the strength in numbers, will there be the changes that's needed. Very good indeed. That's Fight and Talk halfway through. Should we do the scores? Because we're fairly negligent on that front. Tez and Ebony have 26 points each. That's really high halfway through. Hi, Mum. JC's happy. She's because you're in last place. I got a bit worried. Kate's got 28 points, isn't in second place. Thom Gibbs has a massive 31 points as it stands at the moment on Fight and Talk. Back after news and sport. Welcome back to Fight and Talk. Ebony Usoro-Brown taking her mum to the netball after this. Thom Gibbs not taking anyone anywhere. Kate Mason, Tez Ilyas, can't even see him, on Fight and Talk today, and I'm getting straight to the game changer because we're a bit behind and it's a glorious show. That's why we're behind. It wasn't like we were taking an update on a sport we don't care about. It was quality Fight and Talk. So let's get on with the game changer. 5 points will make a huge difference. Of course, it means Ebony and Tez would be in a joint lead. Kate would take the lead. Or Tom would be out of sight, I would say, if he wins the 5 points. Nothing for the other 3, and it's all about this.
Southampton coming forward again. Oh, and it's in! Curling shot from Gineppo. Ortega was way off his line. Southampton have a 2-goal lead against Manchester City.
We live in an era where a team lose rather than a team win. So well done to Southampton. Similarly, well done to Fulham during the week. We tend to focus on the big team losing. Pep says after the Southampton win that he has a ridiculous plan for the derby against United today. So what is your ridiculous plan for sport that you actually believe will work? Let's use a phrase we all hate. Let's think outside the box. Kate.
I'm in the box. You know how everyone's bored of VAR and marginal offside calls? What's the solution, Colin? Get rid of the offside law altogether.
No.
A
What are you
great
talking about?
example
No.
of this is, all right, Tez, you're not even here. A great example of
It's your conscience speaking.
is how they did this. They did this in hockey. It opened up the game. You can't think about how the game works. You can't drop too far back because the keeper won't want his area totally crowded. So managers will have to make decisions about this. You can also stick 1 or 2 players up front when you're defending, so that when you get the ball, you can break quickly and get on the counter attack even more exciting.
You can't pass the hockey.
Marco van Basten agrees with me.
A hockey pitch is divided up differently, so it's a different way that they rule offside. But the problem is here is defensive teams can just sit back in the 18. That's the problem.
I just don't think that's how. The other thing is,
what about this then?
We've
As
missed the
part of
key
the rule?
point as well, Colin. It would obviously have the added benefit of getting more women into football because you know that we can't understand the rule.
I was wondering where you were going with that. I was like, how is it going to... Listen, do you know what would help? Is if you weren't, you always had to have 2 people in the opposition half. Now it would start to work because there's only so many you could bring back.
I'm not saying it's just clean cut and then you move on. You'd have to think about it.
Yeah.
I think it can be done. And wouldn't you just love to not have to
Kate,
look at armpits?
Thanks for being here. Ebony.
My ridiculous
Do the
but
netball. Come
brilliant idea. Do you know what? It could relate to netball.
Okay.
Mine is that in terms of for a period of time in the game, at the start, middle, or end, you can choose whenever. You can take the opposition team's best player off to try and even up the playing field.
Do you have to have a certain lead? So if
no.
you're X amount of points ahead, you're allowed to make a change.
No certain lead.
This is all sports?
All sports.
All sports.
You can take off the best players. Say, for instance, we're talking about Manchester City. You can take off Haaland for 15 minutes, see how the team get along, and then potentially come back on.
Not for the whole game,
not
15
the whole game.
minutes.
15 minutes, 10 minutes, a
Do
time
they get
period.
to replace him?
Nope.
They have to play with 10 men
They
for
have to
15
play.
minutes.
They have to play with 10
It's
men
the same
for 15
problem with
minutes.
Kate's idea. They'll just defend more.
Well,
You
they
make the
may
game more
defend more,
defensive.
but you still have the
No.
opposite. It's tactical in terms of you can still take off their best player at exactly the
But
same
it's like
time. so
golden
10
goal
against 10.
and silver goal. They didn't help. They made it more defensive. Every time you try to make it more attacking, they'll just defend more.
You really like the
Right.
back pass to the goalkeeper. As
Bring
well,
it
don't you,
back.
Colin?
Bring it back. Absolutely.
I still think there could be some advantage in it, though. If you're taking off the key player.
There was a kids' game today, right? On Paddy Keatley's show, he covers a kids' game, and they had a rule in that league. Was it the Burton something league for kids? Spitfires were playing their Tornadoes, and they have a rule that when a team go 5 goals up, the other team get an extra player. So to try and and then if they go another 7 goals up, they get another 2. So I'm not saying we should do that in the Premier League.
What is going on?
Tez, what's yours? Come on, the points are there, by the way.
There's so many good ideas. Bin VAR.
There's none in this studio.
Oh, well, there isn't this. In the Manchester studio, there's loads of good ideas, like bin VAR forever. If you've won the Premier League before, you should never be relegated from it. Thank you, Blackburn Rovers.
It's a dreadful idea.
But the correct answer is that arguably Qatar has delivered the best World Cup in living memory. Just put the next one in Kuwait or the Caymans or Gibraltar. Just put it into some random rogue island state forever and just rotate it amongst them.
Yeah.
Sicily for just have a World Cup.
Vanuatu.
Yeah,
Vanuatu. I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
Right, at least by not taking it seriously, you might have had the best answer. Tom.
Minimum terms of service for managers. Let's call it 25 games, and it resets at the start of each season. It stops silly sackings, but it also clamps down on managers like Michael Beale. Now, last October, a week after turning down a job at Wolves, the QPR manager Michael Beale gave me an interview. He looked me in the eye and he said, the only reasons for leaving QPR right now would be selfish ones around ego, status or finance, and that's not really me. 1 month and 5 games later, no wins in that 5 game, by the way. He left QPR to join Glasgow Rangers. Glasgow Rangers play Aberdeen in the League Cup tomorrow. I think I speak for all QPR fans when I say, Mon the Dons.
Yeah, that's the points, 5 points. And actually, I don't know why 25 games might be a period of time, like a 3 month, 5 month type thing. I think that's a great idea.
What, you don't want to see a World Cup in the Isle of Man? I don't get it.
Very good. I'll give the points to Tom, though, who's going to take...
Wow.
In other words, Kate, Eboni, Tez, which one of you three makes the final with him is winning it, because he's rubbish at defending indefensible. Despite being banned for 4 games, England has somehow found a way for Owen Farrell to play in the Six Nations. Tell me about sports' loosest, loopiest of loopholes. Tez.
It's not so much of a loophole as much as it is just the BCCI... the Indian Cricket Board just buying their way to the top of the sport and then just creating whatever rules they want and forcing some players and states to not be able to play in their own league, domestic leagues. And then just like dictating who gets to play how many big matches, test matches, who gets to play here regularly, setting the international agenda, just because they have the most money, even if they don't always have the best team. And I think it's a horrible, horrible way to give them a sport.
Is that kind of like bad governance rather than loopiest loopholes?
Yeah, it is, but I just wanted to get it off my chest.
Yeah, no, good. I admire that. And you should always use questions for your own agenda. I won't give you many points for a great answer, but in terms of it fitting, Kate, the question, not sure. What's yours?
The UFC's Code of Conduct policy specifically highlights punishments to be enacted for domestic violence-related incidents. But if you're the boss of UFC, then you say that being known as a wife-beater is worse than being punished for being a wife-beater.
Good answer. Eboni.
Mine is, how come in all of our national sporting teams, the players have to be nationals of the country, but yet the coach can be a foreigner? It undermines the credibility of the national coaching system, and surely the coach should be a national as well. To foment the identity and the brand of the sport that we're playing.
It's interesting. I mean, it follows a logic, doesn't it? Like, it follows a logic. The whole point of national sport is that it's the best of your... Unless you're England, of course, you just take them from anywhere you want in the world. Let's face it. An Irish cricketer? No worries about that. Where was that footballer born? Jamaica? We'll have him. Come on. So I'm not sure you quite do that. Although I'm an Irish person saying that, by the way. I've realised how big the glass house just is that I threw that right from. It's massive. It's a botanical gardens.
Guys, have you got any more stones out there? I just need to pass them on.
I think you probably should at least have your grandmother. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of makes sense. That should have been your answer for the game changer. You would have got the 5 points. Tom.
I think the classic loophole is legally sound but massively frowned upon, and I don't think there's any better example than the devious cricketing move of the bowler stumping the batsman, the non-strikers, also known as the man-cat. No, I'm into it. Most recently seen at Lords when Deepti Sharma ran out Charlie Dean to win the 3rd ODI. Much wailing and gnashing of teeth, but when it comes down to it, it's a brilliant and naughty way to take a wicket. It's also so controversial that the family of Vinu Mankad, who gave the practice its name, are divided on it. His son didn't like it, but his grandson is all for it. So it's a great loophole, and every time it happens, someone gets to dutifully trot out the line. It's just not cricket.
It's very good. Legally signed, massively frowned. That's all you live for in this life. Phrases like that. That's what makes it work.
How is that a loophole? It's just a rule that's allowed.
Yeah.
It's Yeah, you're right. Actually,
VAR
I'll take
check in Salford there.
I'll listen. You're right to point that out. Actually, you're right to point that out. I'll take a point off there because you're absolutely right.
I think it needs to be more than a point, doesn't it?
It's not going to help Tez. It's not.
I thought I was going to get the point. That's why I said it.
Tez right now is like the fan in the crowd who's never played football shouting at the coach. 30 points for Tez as it stands. Eboni on 33, Kate on 34, Tom, even with those points off, on 40.
Oof.
Game Changer's great, isn't it? Love it. It just throws everything up in the air. Right, Muck the Week. We continue to pay tribute to the defunct panel show by giving you the answer and you tell me what the question is. Kate, spiralling out of control. If that's the answer, what's the question?
After this week's countdown announcement, the amount of Colin Murray on our airwaves that I can cope with watching or listening to in a week.
Thank you. A serious answer to this one, actually. It was Nick Kyrgios's problems with alcohol. Yeah. But it's a comedy show. Right. Eboni, 65%. 65%.
65%, of which I am one of them. I was at the England game on Wednesday in Manchester. They're playing Jamaica. But it's the number of people still singing God Save Her Gracious Queen before correcting themselves with the national anthem.
It's there in the head, though, isn't it? You can understand. You can understand.
You're halfway through, then you're like, King.
Yeah. How many goals for Wales? Gareth Bale scored or assisted at his peak. It was 57% over his whole career, by the way. Tom, the answer is first time since 2016. What have you got?
Nottingham Forest have only signed 2 players so far in the January transfer window.
Yeah.
If they can keep the number below 20... How long has it been since they've been this restrained?
Very good. First time since there was an international netball game played in Manchester was the answer to that. Tez, about 10 million. What's the question?
Is it how many vacancies at the moment do Blackburn Rovers have for new fans?
It's how much João Felix cost Chelsea before wages. Right, good round that is. Another musical themed round for you right now on Fighting Talk, and it's all about... Yes, it's all about David Bowie. On this day in 1966, he released his first record. So I'm looking sports, teams or people as David Bowie songs. I'm guessing at least 2 of the panel were doing a lot of Googling in this one. Whereas Tom, I think, didn't look anything up. He's like, I've got 18 answers straight away. What have you got?
Sepp Blatter, the man who sold the World Cup.
It's not going to get better. Should we just calm the round? We'll just run a replay question 2. That was very good. Just play that back. Loads of points for that. Eboni, sports or sports teams or sports people as David Bowie songs.
The sports team is the Lionesses.
Yeah.
And of course, they're heroes.
Yes, there you go. I've just given Tez those points. I do the scores as well. I take them off you again. Right, Tez, what's yours?
Golden Tears, Argentina.
Listen, you've went deep there. You've went deep. Kit.
Tom Clare, you may not have heard of him yet. He's a Macclesfield footballer who's just been sent on his way with great joy to Love Island.
Oh, yeah.
Fame.
Yeah, right. Okay, brilliant. Love it. Do you know what? Should we just stay? Should we just stay with music? Because I think that might be quite good to do that. I'm going to, as it stands at the moment, Eboni and Kate are tied to meet Tom in the final. Tez is just 2 points outside of that, and he can deliver sometimes. Sensational any other businesses. So let's find out if he's going to do that today. Tez.
Oh, my God.
The answer to that will be no. He's not going to deliver a sensational any other business.
Let's improv something.
Yeah.
Cooking is really hard.
Yes.
And I've just started cooking recently.
Yeah. Well, how old are you, Tez?
39.
Right, you just started cooking recently.
Yeah, I just started cooking recently.
Can make a documentary.
I baked my first ever pie this week.
Yeah.
Thanks to the Hairy Biker's pie book.
Yeah.
And it is so much harder than I thought it was ever going to be. And I think I might just stop cooking.
Right. What was in the pie?
Chicken and mushrooms. It was very nice. It didn't look great, but it tasted thoroughly decent. And the crust was delicious and all of that. I was really happy with it. But it was I was knackered.
Yeah, it's hard work.
I was just so tired, so I'm going to stop.
Yeah, presentation is the last thing to come when you're learning to cook, as most 14-year-olds find out, Tez. But good luck to you. Someone's obviously recently married. Tom, what's your any other business?
I went to the gym in my office this week. As I was starting my warm-up, a nice bloke with a camera approached me and said he was taking some stock photography and would I mind if he snapped a few pics for internal use at the Telegraph, to which, of course, I answered, absolutely not. First of all, you've broken the first rule of the gym there. Do not approach anyone you don't know. Do not engage in conversation. It shatters the illusion that makes the whole thing tolerable, which is, don't worry, no one's looking at you. Second, what are you hoping for here? I don't think photos of me on a rowing machine are going to have the effect you want of making the in-house gym look like some aspirational, healthy lifestyle choice. I'm in such bad shape at the moment. I'm trying to get back to a dad bod. A dream of the dad bod. And in my view, the gym everywhere should have the same rule as the Berghain nightclub in Berlin. No cameras allowed. Full stop.
And everyone naked.
Depends where you go.
Hard to get in there. Really hard. You never go with a group of guys to get in there, as Jimmy White, Ronnie O'Sullivan and I found out. Right, let's get... This is... I'll tell you now, Tez ain't making the final, unless you had terrible any other businesses. So Kate and Ebony are 44 points each. And one of you are going to take on Tom. I'd imagine at this stage it will come down to just the any other business. What's yours, Kate?
Oh, what a lot of pressure, Colin. What are you doing to me?
You can't stand the pressure.
Especially when you realise what you realise my any of the businesses, which is basically the dry January, is making me drunk.
Right.
Because all of my mates are doing it, right?
Yeah.
So whenever I go anywhere with them, they're like, oh, but you must have a drink because, you know, I was at a free thing the other night.
Yeah.
Booze is free, Kate. You've got to have mine and also yours because otherwise it's just complete waste.
They don't want to push it on to you.
They're pushers. They're absolute pushers.
Yeah. You were on the lash then Thursday. Did you have a drink yesterday?
No, actually, I was busily preparing for fighting talk. Can't you tell?
Yeah, you're all right. You'll be fine.
That was Wednesday.
You'll be fine. Ebony.
I think my any other business is that Spare has dominated the news this week.
Yeah.
And it's hidden all the other more interesting stories about Boris and Johnson's Partygate scandal, the High Court ruling that we're not allowed to wild camp on Dartmoor anymore, the flooding going on up and down the country, and the strike action of our nurses, railway staff, posties, teachers. So is Prince Harry really that big of a story?
Yeah. It is. It's up to newspapers to get that balance right. So I think the BBC website does. Whereas maybe some other places don't. But they're all important stories that you can hear weeknights. BBC Radio 5 Live. Yeah? 10 to 1. Me.
You already know my views.
Come on now. What show? 10% audience share. Yes. So who goes in off those two?
Just put me in.
I'm not. You're definitely not in. You've got 46 points, but you did manage to grind a few axes, which is why you came here. So that's good, Tez. Tom, even though I lost interest at one stage, 54 and in the final. Kate and Ebony both have 48 points. Ebony gets an extra point because her mum's watching. Yeah, so Ebony goes in. I think that's fair.
Fine.
I don't want to face her. I don't want to face her. She doesn't get in. Do you know what I mean?
Why you didn't say the word Todger when you were talking about the Harry autobiography?
Yeah. You done well with your mum being here because it's hard. You're watching what you're saying, all that type of stuff.
Oh, thanks for giving birth to me. Thanks for being here.
There you go. Yeah. I know she gave birth to a child that turned out to be you.
Yeah.
She didn't choose to give birth. Do you know what I mean, though? It could have been another. It could have been a boy. You'd have been just as happy. Right. Okay, 20 seconds to defend the indefensible. Tom, no matter what I say, you have to defend it. I'm going to ask yours, which is just... You got to do it right, though, right? Because it's just nonsensical, right? Because you're a big Minnesota Vikings fan. I, Tom, only pretend to like the NFL because I enjoy dressing up in Viking regalia.
Listen, there are lots of reasons to enjoy going to an NFL game, especially in this country. You can watch a game with a beer in your seats, but the real thrill is getting the lovely plastic Viking helmets, which I wear every day. I will love it so much that I wear it in the bath. I think it makes me look extremely alluring, and that's part of the reason why I wouldn't let them take my picture in the gym this week. I was wearing it there too.
Not bad, you did quite well. As that was absolutely nonsensical, I'll go nonsensical for you as well, Ebony. You have to defend this for 20 seconds, no matter what it is. I Ebony... Do you know what? I don't know whether to do that one now. I'll do the next. I'm going to do this one.
Be kind.
I'm going to do this one. It's just better. It's what you have to defend. It's harder. Netball is a sport for people who find basketball too hard.
Netball is a sport for people who find basketball too hard because you don't have to have as much coordination in terms of dribbling the ball. There's actually more people to pass to, so in terms of having decision making, you've actually got a more array of choices to make. The outfits are much cuter. You don't have to wear those baggy shorts that you can't even make you look like an igloo.
It's very good. It was very good indeed. You did make that. I've got an image of Tom in the bath in a Viking helmet, and I don't know whether that's going to stop me sleeping tonight or turn me on later. I'm trying to decide in my head, is it good or bad? It's really close. What are you thinking, Kate? Those two?
I think Tom probably deserves to win. Sorry, Eboni, just because he was ahead for ages.
Yeah. Well, if you agree, I'll give it to Tom. I asked Kate, assuming she was going to back you up there, and instead she didn't. She gave it to Tom, who wins today. Kate, Tom, Eboni, Tez, what a delight. Thank you so much, and thanks for listening to Fight and Talk. We will be back. We'll be back, of course we will, next weekend. It's exactly 12 o'clock.
Never take it for granted.
Yeah, exactly on time.
Never ever take it for granted.
Why?
Well, you just never know in this industry, do you?
God. But I thought that's a bit morbid, though, isn't it?
Oh no, I just meant the show being dropped for being rubbish. I didn't mean you were going to be killed.
Listen, if it's still,
I mean, God, if anything happens now, this handover is going to be played back for decades.
Can I just make it very, very clear to the nation that listens? If I drop dead on Tuesday, this is the only clip that I want played with a break. I
would
just
the show
want this
not
clip.
come back without you, Colin?
What? Oh, they wouldn't even miss a show.
The show would come back though.
I could buy it on Friday at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
And they'd have Les Dennis here.
No, Jordan would be straight in. After last week, Jordan would be straight back.
Do you know what's worse about it? It wouldn't even be that. It would be people like Kate Mason ringing up the producer. But, literally as I was hitting the ground, going, that's really bad news. What are you going to do about Saturday? Listen, the knives are out. Don't you worry about that. How are you, Choppers? All right?
I'm very good. Very good, thank you.
Nice.
I hope when this handover never sees the light of day again.
Right,
and all I was going to say was genuinely, and I know Paddy already did this with you earlier, congratulations.
Thanks, mate.
And that is absolutely genuine.
Well, I think it's going to follow every other TV job I've ever had, where I'm going to enjoy it for about 2 years, and then Choppers is going to take it. So I like to say congratulations to you on your future role hosting County Line.
No problem. Susie Dent's already booked me in for 2025. There we are.
Thanks, mate.
See you. Bye. Massive.